You're watching DD, the Defense Dynamics, and I am Danveer from New Delhi, connecting to our viewers from India and around the world. Today, we will talk about Tejas Mk1A, India's light combat aircraft, the latest variant. The Indian Air Force is likely to get its first Tejas Mk1A aircraft by August 15th this year. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has announced amidst concerns being raised in some quarters of the press to do with delay in supply of GE F404 engines from the United States. Now we will tell you in detail why HAL's announcement at this juncture assumes such a great importance. But before that, what is Tejas Mk1A all about? Why this fighter aircraft so important not only to the Indian Air Force and the Indian aero industry but also to India as such? Who is the competitor of Tejas in India's hostile neighborhood? We'll tell you all about that.
Tejas fighter program was originally conceived for us to be not dependent on any kind of foreign fighters.
LCS Tejas is a 4.5 generation all-weather and a multi-role fighter aircraft. The aircraft is designed to be a multi-role aircraft that is capable of taking up offensive air support, close combat and ground attack roles at ease. It is also designed to undertake ground maritime operations. The different variants of aircraft under production and development are single-seater fighter for the Air Force, single-seater fighter for the Navy, twin-seater trainer aircraft for the Air Force, and twin-seater trainer version for the Indian Navy.
Earlier radar used to have a big reflecting surface onto which the energy used to be sent and it used to reflect like a reflector. But in an array radar, the reflector itself has the radar and it is in very small arrays. It's in small trans-receiver modules. So you will have thousands of modules on the reflector itself and you can actively scan it using electronic means. The AESA radar is a game changer in terms of the amount of aeroplanes that can be tracked, the amount of aeroplanes that can be locked on. For example, in an original reflector kind of radar, you had the reflector looking at one particular direction when you locked onto a particular target. At that time, you are not able to see the rest of the targets. But in an AESA radar, you can lock on one and you can track the other targets simultaneously.
Further, Tejas Mk1A is the most advanced version of LCS Tejas. It is equipped with ASA radar, that is active electronically scanned array radar. It has electronic warfare suite that consists of radar warning and self-protection jamming, digital map generator, smart multifunctional displays, combined interrogator and transponders, along with advanced radio altimeters and other advanced features. Tejas made its first flight in 2001 and entered into the service with the IAF in 2015. In 2003, the aircraft was officially named as Tejas. Currently, Tejas is the smallest and the lightest in its class of supersonic combat aircraft category. Tejas is the second supersonic aircraft developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited after HF-24 Marut that was developed in the 60s and the 70s. The first Tejas squadron became operational in 2016. The number 45 Squadron IF, also known as the Flying Daggers, was the first squadron to have their MiG-21 Bisons replaced with Tejas. Tejas has three production variants, that is Tejas Mk1, Mk1 Alpha and Tejas Trainer/Light Attack aircraft. The IF currently has placed an order of 83 Tejas and is planning to procure 97 more. This is in addition to already in service 40 aircrafts. As of 2022, the indigenous content in Tejas Mk1 is 59.7% and indigenous content of Tejas Mk1A is expected to surpass 70% in next 2 years.
The Indian Air Force presently has 31 squadrons with 16 to 18 fighter aircrafts in each. Ideally, mandated requirement is that of 42 squadrons, but over next 1.5 years to 2 years, the squadrons of Soviet-era MiG-21 fighter jets will retire. The Jaguar, MiG-29 and Mirage 2000 jet fleets, all inducted into the Air Force in the 1980s, are slated to retire in batches beyond 2029 and 30. These four types of jets are about 250 numbers and are presently operating in an extended life cycle. As per plan, for next 14 to 15 years, that is till 2038 and 39, India needs to indigenously produce some 390 fighter jet aircrafts for the IAF. Hence, viewers, Project Tejas is extremely important to the Indian Air Force. A point to note here is that minor delay of 2 to 3 months is no big deal when the timelines are set for next 14 to 15 years.
The LCA Tejas program stood as a testament to India's commitment to reducing its dependency on foreign aircraft and thus embodying the spirit of a self-reliant nation. The LCA Tejas project aims to equip the Indian Air Force with an indigenous fighter aircraft. The collective efforts of institutions and individuals, including Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the Aeronautical Development Agency, DRDO Labs, POSUs, the Indian Air Force and many more entities. They all have contributed towards India's prestigious fighter aircraft project. In an ongoing process of upgradation of technologies and existing capabilities of Tejas Mk1, the LCA Tejas Mk1A aircraft is an upgraded version with 40 upgrades. This project has provided India with knowledge in building fighter aircraft and nurtured the nation's aerospace ecosystem. The development of LCA Tejas has led to the creation of a robust defense and aerospace industry. However, it has also generated opportunities for numerous small and medium-sized enterprises, research institutions and skilled workers who have contributed to various facets in this project. The LCA Tejas twin-seater, the first of its kind, produced by HAL, has technology which provides it with capabilities to improve its agility and versatility. Its primary role will be to provide essential training to the pilots of the Indian Air Force. While the production of LCA Tejas Mk1 continues apace, India's Ministry of Defense finally placed the 6.58 billion US dollar order to acquire 83 Mark 1A aircrafts in February 2021. It further approved a procurement of additional 97 Mark 1A variants in the year 2024. With India being one of the biggest importers of military equipment in recent years, India has started to switch roles since indigenization of their defense manufacturing has begun to impact their defense procurement. They have offered the Tejas combat jet to a variety of international customers in an attempt to benefit from exportation of military capabilities. Some of the countries like Malaysia, Egypt and Argentina have shown their interest in this light combat aircraft.
India's arch rival Pakistan has recently acquired 25 J-10 fighters. They have acquired these to be pitted against India's multi-role fighter Rafale. While Rafale is a twin-engine, medium, multi-role combat aircraft, far much superior to the Chinese J-10s. However, J-10s can be compared to Tejas Mk1A since both of these jets come under the light category.
We are powering it to be using the General Electric engine, whereas it's a homegrown WS engine on J-10. And that engine is not known for its reliability. There have been many crashes both in, Air forces using this engine in Pakistan as well as in China. So their radar is not as good as the AES radar that Mk1A has, and also the self-protection suit, both in terms of jammers and in terms of missile approach warning system. So these are leaps and bounds ahead of J-10C.
Now let's compare Chinese J-10 with India's Tejas Mk1A. Now these are two aircrafts that come under the category of light combat aircraft. And to do this comparison, we have got a lot of data on our data wall, as you can see. So we start with general characteristics. Now as you can see, J-10C of China is a small single engine multi-role fighter aircraft. And when we talk about Tejas, it is also a single engine aircraft, but it is a multi-purpose fighter. I'll tell you what does that mean, why India's LCA is a multi-purpose fighter aircraft. When we talk of the Chinese, they are designed for strike, that is interdictory strikes and air-to-air combat. When we talk about LCA Tejas, it is designed for offensive air support, close combat, ground attack and ground maritime operational support. So this is what is the reason that makes LCA a multi-purpose aircraft. Now going further ahead in general categories, general characteristics, we see the Chinese J-10C is designed for strikes and air-to-air combat that I just mentioned. But when we talk of LCA Tejas, it has got state-of-the-art fly-by-wire fire control systems, and it is equipped with advanced multi-mode radars and integrated digital avionics. What that means is basically that there is a far better situational awareness with the pilot on Tejas Mk1A as compared to J-10, which means that when we talk of the OODA cycle, the man with the trigger has got better options and he has a greater probability to kill the enemy, which means victory. So now let's compare their structural dimensions. Now here you can see the Chinese aircraft is about 51 feet 7 inches long, and Tejas is shorter than the Chinese counterpart. It is at 43 feet and 4 inches, which means that it has got a lesser radar footprint, which is advantage Tejas. Now when we talk about the wing area, as far as the Chinese aircraft is concerned, its wing area is 360 square feet, and when we talk about Tejas, it is 413 square feet, which implies that Tejas has got a larger wing area. If you look at the pictures, the aircraft Tejas has got delta wings, while that with the Chinese, they are not delta wing, which further implies that there is more agility with Tejas when compared to the Chinese counterpart. Now talking about the weight, Chinese aircraft J-10C is 19,277 kgs and max takeoff weight for the Tejas is 30,500 kgs, which goes to say that Tejas is much more lighter aircraft. When we look at J-10C, it can produce a thrust of 140 kilonewton. When we talk of Tejas Mk1A, it produces 85 kilonewton with afterburners. So that goes to say, when we look at this data, that J-10C is a much more powerful aircraft. But when we go back and compare the two aircrafts in terms of what their weight is, we'll realize that J-10C is far much heavier aircraft and it requires far much more thrust to compete and compare with an aircraft like ours, that is Tejas Mk1A. Now another factor that should be compared is the speed, the top speed. Now top speed here as well, J-10C has got a higher speed at 2,305 kilometers per hour, while Tejas has 2,220 kilometers per hour. So here in this case, J-10C has a little advantage over Tejas. J-10C has one missile, that is air-to-air combat missile, that is PL-1 missile, which has a range of 145 kilometers, while Tejas has got three types of missiles: Astra-1, Astra-2 and the Derby missile. And to its advantage is a very modern Uttam AESA radar. Now Uttam AESA radar can look beyond the visual range. This gives a greater visibility to the pilot and greater choice when it compares to decision making. So that advantage is definitely there with Tejas Mk1A. Having compared Tejas to J-10, now coming to the recent attempts to sensationalize delay in some quarters of the press. The delayed supply of F404 engines by General Electrics and completely attributing the skipping of July timeline to non-availability of engines. This may be partially correct, but it is not the sole reason. HAL, which has been facing challenges in adhering to original delivery schedule, is not only for the want of engine, but for some software related issues in integration as well.
One of the constraints in the past has been the number of aircrafts which can be delivered by HAL. I mean, the number was not so great. And even in Tejas, we started with 8 numbers and then we augmented the capacities to 16 aircrafts per annum. As of now, we will be in a position to deliver 16 aircrafts per annum. We have started the third line in Nashik, which will produce another 8 aircraft, and the line is process is already on, and the line will become operational by August 2024.
HAL has announced that it is targeting the first delivery of the Tejas Mk1A aircraft in August, 5 months behind schedule after completing the necessary certification requirements and creasing out software integration issues. HAL says it will deliver 16 of these fighters to IAF in the financial year 2024-25 as per schedule. It also hopes to deliver all 83 aircrafts on order by 2028-29. On the other side, HAL's partner, General Electric Aerospace spokesperson in a statement has said that the aerospace industry continues to experience unprecedented supply chain pressures. GE Aerospace is working with HAL and suppliers to resolve constraints and deliver F404 engines for the LCA Mk1A program. The delay, however, might be mitigated as GE, the American engine manufacturer, has committed to commencing the supply of GE 404 engines by September-October this year. The assurance from GE is expected to help streamline the production and delivery process, ensuring the subsequent batches of LCA Mk1A can be delivered to IAF in a timelier manner.
India is working on its indigenous fighter jet engine, the GTRE Kaveri engines. They are under testing and development stage. The results so far have been very promising. In future, these engines will not only replace American F404 engines in various variants of Tejas, but also power futuristic AMCA 5th generation fighters. Success of Project Tejas has meant creation of an aerospace ecosystem with indigenous technologies. With this sound base, India plans to build its own fighter, a 5th generation fighter, AMCA, that is Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. Here is a quick overview.
The Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or the AMCA, is India's single-seat, twin-engine, all-weather 5th generation stealth, multi-role combat aircraft that is being developed for Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. AMCA is designed as a single-seat, twin-engine combat aircraft. The AMCA Mark 1 will come equipped with 5th generation technologies, and AMCA Mark 2 will have incremental 6th generation technology upgrades. The AMCA is intended to perform a multitude of missions including air supremacy, ground strike, suppression of enemy air defenses, and electronic warfare missions. It is intended to supplant the Sukhoi Su-30 Mki air superiority fighter. The Sukhoi Su-30 Mki presently forms the backbone of the Indian Air Force fighter fleet. The AMCA design is optimized for low radar cross-section and super cruise capability. The feasibility study on AMCA and the preliminary design stage have been completed. The project entered design phase in February 2019. The AMCA is currently the only 5th generation fighter aircraft under development in India and built around 5 prototypes in around 5 years' time. Currently, there are only 4 operational 5th generation fighters in the world, with Americans having 2, that is F-22 Raptor and F-35A Lightning. The Chinese have the J-20 and the Russians are boasting of Su-57. Even though their stealth technology, a primary requirement to be termed 5th generation, is not fully recognized at the world at large. China also has J-31 fighters whose 5th generation credentials are questionable as well. According to the plan, the first AMCA prototype powered by GE 414 engine is earmarked to roll out by year 2026. The Indian Air Force Chief in 2021 had stated that the force's plan is to start inducting AMCA by early years of next decade, that is in the year 2030 onwards. The IF is looking at 7 squadrons of AMCA, which includes 2 squadrons of AMCA Mark 1A, which will be powered by GE 414 engines that has a thrust of 98 kN. The remaining fighters will be powered by new indigenous engines, for which the contenders are Safran of France, GE of United States, and the Rolls-Royce of the UK. The AMCA will boast of latest avionics, indigenous ASA radar, besides having capability to carry weapons internally as well as externally.
Stealth technology in the AMCA is, there is a lot of them. There is an S type of intake. It does not have 2 control surfaces. It has a V-tail, which is a ruddervator, and also the aileron control. It is going to be completely controlled by the computers. And in the 6th generation fighter, it will be optionally crewed, which means You can sit inside and fly, or you need not sit inside and fly, and it becomes like a unmanned vehicle. So it is an optionally crewed fighter aeroplane, which also can control the other swarm drones. It can take a wingman with them, wingman which is not manned. That means the mother ship can stay airborne with man on board, and the wingmans, the loyal wingmans that is just called, the wingmans can penetrate into the enemy area and create havoc and come back. Even if the wingman aeroplane gets shot down in a very heavily contested area, you are not losing a pilot there.
When we say that the project Tejas is extremely important to India, it is simply because it has created a robust ecosystem with sound research and development and strong industrial base. This will strengthen India in taking up futuristic challenges through indigenous means. 5th generation AMCA Mk1 and 6th generation AMCA Mk2 are the case in point. Tejas project firmly on track, India is moving ahead into self-reliance when it comes to designing and developing its own future fighter aircrafts. This aspect is of very great importance if India has to realize its regional power status in an envisaged multipolar world. With this, here is my take. The Tejas Light Combat Aircraft project in India showcases indigenous efforts in developing a modern fighter jet. With advancements in technology and design, the Tejas has bolstered India's defense capabilities. Its agility, weaponry and electronic warfare system makes it a potent asset for Indian Air Force. Symbolizing self-reliance in defense production, the aerospace ecosystem thus created will fulfill all the futuristic needs of its armed forces. Now, we come to an end of this episode on Tejas. See you next week with new stories and their analysis. Thanks for watching, and do post your comments on social media with hashtag DD with Danveer. Goodbye and take care.